So big welcome. Delighted to say we're joined by Jonny the Ferret Clayton. Hi, Jonny.
Hello, Jonny.
Hi, guys. How are you? You good?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Really good, really good. And well done for choosing that as walk-on music, by
perfect.
the way. Always going to be a winner with me and Charlie, that's for sure. I've got to ask you because, you know, I'm sure you've got a very pat answer to this, but as soon as I said the words the ferret, people's ears will have shot up, possibly like a ferret. Where did you get that ridiculous name from?
Through my rugby days, to be honest. I was about 9 stone soaking wet when I was playing rugby. I was so skinny, it was unbelievable, right? I've changed now, obviously. You know, I found the food. So
much improved, Jonny, much improved.
Much improved. So it was through my rugby days, and there was a programme on TV named The Gladiators, and rugby boys being rugby boys, teasing, saying that if I ever went on to that program, which I had no chance, you know, they would name me the ferret, and it stuck. So that is basically where the ferret came from.
Listen, I want to really get on to your amazing achievements so far this season and last season in the Premier League. But before that, your rise to darts is not the typical one where somebody is, like we've seen with Luke Littler, where they've been playing since they were 3, they're a teenage prodigy, and they're world champion, when they barely left school. Yours is a very different story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, to be honest. Rugby was my game. I loved rugby. And, it was just, darts was a hobby. My dad played just for the local working men's club, but he loved his darts. So every Christmas, as far back as I can remember, when you had the BDO World Championships on BBC One, and the old Eric Bristow, Jockey Wilson, and all them, we all sat down, we watched that. But there's always been a dartboard in the house because Dad used to play. So I've thrown darts, at walls more than a dartboard for many a year, but. It's like, it was after like the youth kind of rugby, so maybe 18, 19, when I started to really think, I do enjoy this sport, join a team. Obviously then I played for Super Leagues, counties, got my BDO Welsh cap, and then I tried for the PDC and Q School, and thank God I got through, and I'm here today through that.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm going to say a bit like Stuart Pearce. You were a plasterer. Now I know you have to practice a lot to be as good as you are at darts, but could you still plaster a wall for me?
I'd plaster the wall, and maybe I wouldn't be able to work to move for a couple of days afterwards. But I think I'd get the wall plastered. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed.
You and Gerwyn Price have won the 2023 and 2020 PDC World Cup of Darts together. Is there a rivalry between you in Wales, or do you practice together? You're both from a rugby background as well.
Yeah, definitely no rivalry through Wales. We are big mates. We are good friends. Yeah. But on that stage, Gezi always says that there's no friends on stage. Sure. So you just go out, you try and win the game, and then, you're back, as big mates in the back room. Win or lose, it all ends on the stage. The rivalry finishes on stage. But, being a rugby background, like Gez said in his last interview, I think he said, when I get on that stage, it's the same as rugby. I'd like to rip his head off. It's like, I don't quite, think that way. But
sounds very Gerwyn Price. It doesn't sound very much like you, that. Yeah, exactly. So night 5 of the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're in Cardiff, so a home ground for you. How will that crowd be?
It'll be an absolute fantastic night. They're going to be mental. The Welsh supporting the Welsh. There's no better feeling. I watched the rugby the other day, Wales-France up in Cardiff. Yeah. It didn't go our way, but the support is.
It's a great game, though. It's a great game, Jonny.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, France are superb at the moment, but for us in Cardiff playing darts, it's the same mentality that they want their players, to win. So hopefully myself and Gez can meet in the final tomorrow night, and who knows who picks up that nightly win.
It is worth noting that in both Glasgow and Belfast, you've beaten Luke Littler, who, to most sort of non-experts would definitely be the best player in the world. Without putting a curse on it, how have you? Is there something special about your game that Luke finds difficult to handle?
I don't know. I think you'd have to ask him that question. You know, it's a game of chances. You get that chance against, you know, a player of Luke's, you know, ability, quality. You know, if you can take them chances, you're doing the right thing. So, yeah, it's 2-0 for me at the moment in the Premier League, but I'm sure he'll get his revenge somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
And given that background that you told us about, where you had a proper job and then you become a darts player and you've won big titles with Go and all the rest of it, is this Premier League another stepping stone? What are your long-term ambitions in the game? Because, you know, you've come into it and people will be supporting you because they know that you've done a proper job and all the rest of it. What are your own personal ambitions within the game?
I think, you know, as long as as long as I enjoy the game, I'm going to carry on playing. You know, it's like, you know, I don't think I'm the type of person that if I don't enjoy the game, I'm going to carry on chasing it, you know, around Europe and the UK. If I keep enjoying the game and I'm still doing well, you know, hopefully I'm going to be in the game for maybe 5, 6, 7 years again. Like,